Welcome back, everybody, to the Denver Dzogchen podcast. I'm here once again with Joseph Wagner, and today we have a very special guest, Lama Dawa, a new friend of Joe, and he's going to introduce him and tell us all about him and his Dharma history, and I think we have a lot of fun stuff to learn today.
Thanks, Damien. Hello, everyone. I would like to say I'm very grateful to welcome Lama Dawa Zango to our little podcast. I had the good fortune of meeting Lama Dawa a few weeks ago through another person in our regular Denver Dzogchen group had met him in Crestone, Colorado, kind of the hub of Vajrayana in Colorado, some years ago, and said, you guys should get to know each other. And he happens to live only 45 minutes from here or so. So we had tea, and now we're becoming friends, and I feel very grateful. Lama Dawa is a student in the Kagyu lineage primarily, and did a 3-year retreat under the auspices of Kalu Rinpoche in the 80s, and has been teaching and practicing ever since then. And it's just a great honor for us to have him here on our podcast. So thank you for coming, and thanks for making time. Really grateful.
Totally my pleasure. This is fun.
Thank you. Well, so maybe you can just give us a little history about your Dharma history and your practice and your teachers and, the usual spiel.
Sure. The short version, of course. Took refuge 1980. Prior to that, I was reading Buddhist literature of all kinds. Prior to that, of course, on the sort of general spiritual quest, reading spiritual literature from around the world, and nothing clicked until I found Buddhism, and then it was, grand slam. And so I know I was Buddhist, and I decided with my partner, she encouraged me, we went to Boulder to go to Naropa Institute.
Mhm.
We thought maybe Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche would be our connection. We liked his books. Didn't pan out. He was not my connection. I knew I was Buddhist. I knew I was Tibetan Buddhist. And in my heart of hearts, I knew I was a Kagyu, that was just my DNA, my spiritual DNA, and I just knew it. And I was ready to take refuge. And I thought, well, this is great because Chogyam Trungpa is a renowned master and very important, of course, in bringing Buddhism to the West. And he was a Kagyu Tulku. So it seemed perfect. So I was getting prepared. They prepare you in that tradition to take refuge. And the person that was assigned to me to kind of prep me, everything was going fine. And then he got to a point where he said, and because Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche is going to be your preceptor, that means you take him for to be your root guru. Well, I knew that was not kosher, and I was not going to go there. So with sort of a heavy heart, I said, well, deal's off, Long story short, I ended up going to Portland, Oregon, and to go to chiropractic school of all things. And as soon as I got to Portland, I saw a flyer on a street lamp, and it was for a Dharma center. And I thought, well, I'll check it out. And when I walked in, I knew I was home. It was a Kalu Rinpoche center, prominently positioned above the shrine was very old black and white pictures. On the left was the 16th Galen Karmapa, and on the right was the Dalai Lama. And we started doing Chenrezig practice. That was their core practice that had been given to that center by Kalu Rinpoche on a previous visit. This was 1980. That spring, Lama Lodru from San Francisco, who had been sent to the West by Kalu Rinpoche and the 16th Karmapa, he came to Portland, and I took refuge with him in April of 1980, and been on that track ever since. Sometime in the early 80s, Kalu Rinpoche came. Actually, I should back up. That fall of 80, His Holiness 16th Karmapa came on a tour to the West, and he came to Portland, Oregon. We hosted him for a couple of days. And also I went to San Francisco and saw him. The very first time I laid eyes on him from a great distance, He was about this tall because he was so far away. But I saw him come out on the stage. It was for a black crown ceremony,
Mm.
and that was it. As soon as I saw this figure this big from way far away, I knew that this was a fully enlightened Buddha in the flesh, and more than that, that he was my root teacher, my root guru, and that this was it. Nobody, no ordinary human being could even move like that. The way his body moved, even from that distance, with the elegance and gracefulness and majesty, it was clear he was king of the universe.
Mm.
I mean, it was so
That's
obvious.
awesome.
It was so obvious. So I was still going to chiropractic school, but Kalu Rinpoche came several times. The Milarepa of our era.
Mm.
And it was declared that he had given us permission for a 3-year retreat to be held in Oregon. We had retreat property outside of Eugene. My hand went up immediately. I knew if I didn't do a 3-year retreat, I'd regret it my whole life.
Mm.
So that retreat started in 1986, August 1st, a very important date. And it ended in December of 89.
Mm.
I didn't want it to end. I had recurring dreams of being back in a second 3-year retreat.
Oh.
That's it. After that, you just practice, 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 keep going, keep deepening and trying to really embody the teachings, of course. So that was my journey in a nutshell.
Wow. Beautiful. Tell us a little bit about your 3-year retreat, if you don't mind. Like, what did it follow the standard plan from Dzogchen cultural, or was it a different style?
It
Or
was.
how did that go? Many of our listeners probably aren't familiar with the way a 3-year
Mhm.
retreat unfolds and what that really means in the Tibetan tradition. Would be awesome if you talk about it
Right,
a little
right,
bit.
right. So briefly, a lot is considered to be sort of secret, self-secret. We don't
Mm.
talk too much about it, but structurally, for one thing, yes, Jomken Kongtrul the Great is the Lama who in Tibet really instituted the 3-year retreat tradition that went to the Kalu Rinpoche, who was the great, was appointed retreat master in Palpung in eastern Tibet in Kham.
Mm.
And he created that even when they went into exile into India, of course. Um, so we would wake up at, I think it was, I want to say 4 a.m., but I think it was 3 a.m. every day. We had our own small room, about a 10 by 10, with our own shrine and a box. We had to build our own meditation box to sit in because you do your whole retreat sitting up in meditation posture, even sleeping. Um, we had 9 men, and there was a retreat for the women on the property that was separate, so we never interacted with them. But there were 7 women that completed the retreat. We had the exact same curriculum, of course. Both sides, the men and women, both had a cook who was responsible for doing our laundry and so on, even getting our mail and all that kind of stuff. But we had the way it's set up is we did 4 tuns. A tun is the Tibetan word for a meditation session. We would do 4 tuns a day. The first one at whether it was 3 or 4 a.m. In our room. Then we would meet for a morning practice, which included green tara. We had breakfast back in our rooms for a few hours. So like that. And then there was an evening group
Hmm.
get together to do Mahakala protector practices and so on.
Mm.
And then the monthly schedule was also punctuated by periodic feast ceremonies on the 10th day, the 15th day, etc., like that, Vajrayogini Day, and like that. So it was very, very traditional. The requirement was that we had to be able to read Tibetan because in those days, nothing had been translated,
Mm.
not in terms of 3-year retreat texts. Since then, in recent years, yes. But back then, we were kind of the guinea pigs. not the first three-year retreat set up by Kalu Rinpoche. There were a couple prior ones that were done in France, but we were one of the first. And so somewhat experimental in a way.
Mm.
But when Kalu Rinpoche appointed a retreat master for us that came from his monastery in India, in West Bengal. Sonada is the name of Kalu Rinpoche's home monastery. And so Lama Sangsing came over from India, spoke some English, but not that much. About as maybe a little more than I spoke Tibetan, but kind of comparable. And he guided us through. The curriculum would change every few, let's say every few weeks or months. We would do a practice, then complete that, then go to another practice, and go through the 3 years. We kind of culminate with the 6 yogas of, well, we did Naropa's 6 yogas and Naguma's 6 yogas. So for those of you who don't know, Naguma is kind of the equivalent of Naropa for the Shangpa Kagyu. And this retreat was predominantly Shangpa Kagyu, but we had a lot of Karma Kagyu as well. And in my heart of hearts, because of that, I'm a hybrid. I do both Karma Kagyu and Shangpa Kagyu practices to this day. Because of my connection with the Karmapa lineage and the 16th Karmapa and now the 17th Karmapa, I almost identify more as a Karma Kagyu, but we don't need to split hairs or make too many distinctions. You know, Buddhism is Buddhism. Nature of mind practices is not something we need to put labels to, particularly, whether we call it Dzogchen or Mahamudra. Essentially, same thing, just a slightly different path, slightly different terminology to get there. So that's kind of a condensed version.
Wonderful.
I have a question about, so you said you were encouraged by your partner. So I'm wondering, like me included, had thought about doing 3-year retreats in the past, but always had a relationship of some kind, which I felt made that impossible. So I'm curious if you wouldn't mind sharing, if it's not too personal, how you negotiated that.
Well, yes, it's personal, but it's fine. I have no problem divulging. We were together for 7 years. We got married. And then we basically agreed to go our sort of different journeys. And so we were together, but not really together. She was my liaison with the outside world through the 3-year retreat. We did write letters back and forth. There were no phone calls allowed 3-year retreat. This was before cell phones and internet. Wonderful days. And so she is very, very supportive, completely. There was no problem as far as that goes.
Nice. Speaking of problems, how did the 3-year retreat go? I have many friends who did retreat either in France or in Asia, and it seems that the overarching sense of 3-year retreats done by Westerners is unending troubles. How did yours go? I'm just curious. Maybe it went really well and it would be inspiring for everybody.
That was the warning, and I had heard similar stories, a lot of interpersonal kind of conflict,
nightmares,
things like that. I can honestly say, 100% say, no issue.
Wow.
No
That's
issue.
amazing.
I don't know, the blessings of Kalu Rinpoche, Karmapa, the lineage, literally no conflicts. There were, I'd say, a couple guys that they potentially had, the potential was there to be challenging. I made a deep vow in my heart in the beginning, going into it, that I was not going to let anything get in the way, phase me. And it was fine. I didn't have a single issue the entire time with anybody. And
Wow.
everybody did well. Everybody really did well.
It's fabulous.
Truly. Now, you bring up a great point, though, that people that go into 3-year retreat, there should be a vetting process. We didn't have much of a vetting process. I guess I could say candidly, the women had a little more of an issue on their side. But this is just people. We're just human beings, and
Sure.
we're all unenlightened human beings going into this.
Mm,
And we have to deal with whatever comes up. I think it's an opportunity for people to work through things. And of course, people are a mirror for ourselves.
of
That's
course.
kind of the point.
Of course.
So people, often have to deal with that. But we, I can't remember one fight, one argument, anything, which is sort of
That's
shocking
it
when you think
actually
about it.
really is. And I want to say for our listeners who might be familiar with Buddhism as it's entered the West, that is I don't think it's rare. I think it's unique. I haven't heard from anybody else who completed a 3-year retreat either here or in Europe or in Asia for that matter. Westerners I'm talking about who didn't have the predominant feeling of the retreat was chaotic nightmare. Then and that goes for both Nyingma and Kagyu traditions. So I want to say thank you for just saying that. It's actually changes my
Okay.
view of 3-year retreats in the West because I have been known to say I'm not sure they work that well because people have so many problems and people are leaving and psychotic breakdowns and all kinds of nightmares. And in fact, here we have a graduate of a 3-year retreat right here in America who isn't even crazy. Amazing. So I'm so glad we had you on for that alone. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Joseph, we might have been the exception that proves the rule.
Even if
And
you were, it did work once. That's incredible.
and if you talk to some of the other people that did retreat, maybe they had a slightly different experience. Maybe I had blinders on, but I don't think so. Like I said, I think people maybe had their
Hmm.
feathers ruffled from time to
Of
time. That's
course.
normal.
Yeah.
But out and out fights, arguments, no. I think we all had such high regard and respect for Kalu Rinpoche. I mean,
Mm.
the word that comes to mind is he was a saint. He
Mhm.
was truly, I mean, he was a master, he was a yogi, consummate master yogi, but saintly, and that was kind of maybe sort of drilled into us. We knew that. And also our retreat master.
Mm.
He's kind of a no-nonsense kind of guy. I don't think any of us wanted to cross him,
That makes
you
sense.
know. But we were there, I mean, I can't speak for anyone but myself, but I think we were all there with the really realizing what a precious opportunity this was. And none of us wanted to screw it up, you
What
know.
about reintegration? Because that's the other thing I hear that people have a very hard time coming back.
Okay. Thank you, Damien. That's really important. Uh, the hardest thing of 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days was coming out. And I had no idea what it would be like. I had no expectations. And it was like some kind of weird PTSD or something.
Mm.
I couldn't talk to anybody for a long time, maybe even to this day. I could not look people in the eye. I could not relate to the outside world.
Wow.
It was shocking. In retrospect, I guess I hadn't realized how deep I had gone and
Mm.
was not prepared. That would be my biggest critique
Mm.
was we were not prepared. Now, again, I can't speak for anyone else. I never heard anybody else say that it was so difficult for them. But
Mm.
for me, it was incredibly difficult coming out. I was
Mm.
not prepared. I didn't know how to relate to the world, to be honest. After 3 years of 3 or 4 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, nothing but practice. Um, I mean, with no breaks,
Mm.
no days off, no vacations, no, oh, take a week off and go see your family. No,
Mm.
nothing like that. Um, so it was my whole world. It was all I knew.
Mm.
And we were told at the end of the second year, oh, because we didn't really keep track ourselves, but our Lama told us that your second year is ended. You have one more year to go. Almost had a heart attack. It was
Oh,
so jarring and sad to think, oh, it's only a year left. It's going to be over soon. I
wow.
did not want it to end. And when it was time to leave, it was time to leave. The first thing I remember is getting in a car and going down this long driveway because it was a very rural retreat. And we were probably going not more than 5 or 10 miles an hour. And it felt like we were just speeding down the highway. it just, hadn't been in a motorized vehicle for over 3 years. So like that.
How long did it take to feel like you were able to function in society again?
If I'm really honest, it took years.
Wow.
It took
Wow.
years to kind of fully sort of almost integrate or something.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, in a way, it ruined me for the world.
That's
Did you
probably exactly what
consider,
you're
It
supposed
it
to.
was hard to take seriously a career,
Mm.
which I never could wholeheartedly get into,
Mm.
and things like that. So certainly not for everybody. And maybe there's ways to prepare differently. Again, it's sort of like we were the guinea pigs. I mean, this was in the 1980s, you know, it's almost 40 years ago when we went in.
did you
So
consider doing another one?
many times, the circumstances, the karma, whatever you want to say, didn't quite. I came pretty close. I was in Woodstock, I don't know, a handful of years after it, after we came out, and I was there and talked to Khenpo Katra Rinpoche, the abbot, a wonderful, amazing Lama. And he gave me permission. He showed me a room. He said, "You can have this room." The great uh, Kagyu Khenpo Trangu Rinpoche came while I was there. All this was sort of kind of coincidental,
Mm.
if there is such a thing. And he gave room empowerments. This would have been a Karma Kagyu retreat.
Mm.
And it was due to start like 2 weeks later, and I didn't have the money or anything to, it was just too much too soon. Uh, Obviously, again, wasn't meant to be somehow.
Mm. Mm.
So, but that would have been my dream come true, having do a Shankpa Kagyu and then a Karma
Yeah,
Kagyu 3 retreat.
you'd be full on Kagyu.
Yeah,
Wow, you've
amazing.
been very
But
broad.
no regrets, right? Everything
Mm.
is as it should be.
What about the future? Any chance you'll be back in a hardcore retreat anytime soon?
Well, hardcore, not probably not 3 years.
Mm.
Probably not at my age now,
Mhm. Mhm. He's almost 115, which is incredible. It works.
pretty close to that. But I do a lot of retreats when I can,
Mm.
and but compared to 3 year retreat, they're nothing. But a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, 10 days, 3 weeks. They're very valuable.
Mm.
I'm a retreat person. That's when I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose, so to speak. I'm in my element.
Mm.
I encourage everyone that's serious about Dharma to do retreats.
Mhm.
I think there's no substitution. There's nothing like it. Books, whatever. You have to do retreat.
Mhm.
If you're a Vajrayana practitioner, if you're doing Tibetan Buddhism on any level, I think it's crucial.
Mm.
My root lama, Keelan Rinpoche, he had us do, I don't know if you've heard of the Shakja tradition in the Nyingma school, but that's basically 100 days and 100 nights. It's a retreat for lay people where they do. And so he kind of made a modified version where he was like, I want you to add up the amount of time you spend in retreat, even if it's half days, weekend days, whatever, to 100 days in a year.
Mm.
And he had us do this. And it really helped me a lot to find some kind of integration of a lot of practice while also having a family and kids and a job and all of this. I'm wondering how you've been able to integrate what you learned from that retreat into your life, and what are some tips how people can make their life more retreat like, even if they can't fully do that.
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, it starts with having a consistent practice, of course, even if it's just an hour a day. That's a good beginning. But uh, my other great Lama was Bokar Rinpoche,
Mm.
who was previous Kalu Rinpoche's Dharma heir, and he led 3 year retreats, both in Shangpa, and also he was appointed by 16th Karmapa to be 3 year retreat master. So he was amazingly highly realized. His parting words to me were exactly what we're talking about. He said, "Don't stop, just keep going, stay consistent." Those were his last words. And then I heard a few weeks later that he passed away,
Mm.
untimely passing away. So, to answer your question, it's just about sincerity. It's the only word. Even if you're doing an hour a day, if you're doing 20 minutes a day. If you're living your life, you've got a family, you've got job, you've got all these responsibilities. You know, dharma is not something we do on our mat. It's what we're living our life with all the time. And of course, we all know it's about bodhicitta. So we keep opening our heart. I don't know that retreat really helps. It really helps, especially, well, with whatever your goal is. If it's to improve or perfect your shine, if it's to work on visualization practice. Uh, but really, the essence of doing sustained deeper practice, like in a retreat type setting, is getting in touch with where your sincerity falls short, where you are not quite necessarily, you're going through the motions. It's a chance to reconnect with the deep heart of your practice.
Mhm.
And so again, sincerity comes to mind. That's the preparation. Then if you can squeeze off 3 days here or 2 days there, but I don't know if I'd consider half a day a retreat, to be honest. I just have to say that. Um, you have to, as Milarepa and other great masters said, you have to isolate yourself, body, speech, and mind. So body is where it starts. You go to a cabin, you go somewhere, the cell phone is turned off and put away or left in the car or whatever. You're not checking email. You are literally on retreat. That's what you do.
Mhm.
Do it 100%, even if it's just for, like I said, a handful of days. But, and in my experience, the first few days of retreat, you're just settling in. The monkey mind is in full swing, and it takes several days to start to get through those deeper levels. And that's what it's all about, is getting to those deeper levels where new insights arise as far as, again, whatever you're working on.
Mhm.
But it comes from that separation, that isolation, because you're gonna everything will come up, everything's triggered, especially if you have family and job and stuff. You're gonna miss them, or you're gonna wonder what they're doing. All that stuff's, you know, we're talking about working towards some deeper realization, letting go of the world, our worldly attachments, our worldly connections, and then we can start to actually work more directly with things, we can say more advanced things like nature of mind and stuff like that. Emptiness not as a intellectual concept, but as a direct experience, because the whole point of Dharma is direct experience. Intellectual understanding, basically worthless, if we want to be honest.
Beautiful. That's great. Well, this is a treat. What a treat. I can feel the vibes coming off of him right here. I'm sorry you guys can't be in the same room. Warming up my Dharma core by being right here. It's very nice. It's very nice. We would love to have you back sometime if
Sure.
that would work for you. And maybe we could talk about specific practices or things that have really inspired you or things that we might be able to help our listeners to bring into their own lives. So,
Sure.
and maybe infect them with this sense that I can do this too, because that's really where it's at. That's how the Buddha got enlightened. That's how the great masters of the past practiced. And if we don't have that as a goal, then the opportunity will never show itself. So,
Well said, Joseph. That's the point. We can all do this. We all do have Buddha nature. We have to uncover it, find it, discover it, and realize that it's ever present. So, yeah, it's not beyond any of us. That is really the Buddha's core message.
really is. What a treat. What a treat. This has been great.
Yeah, before we close out, would you share maybe a few parting words about, like you're saying, I agree with you that there's nothing like full retreat, but for me, like I've been able to do 3-day solitary retreats, this sort of thing, but much beyond that, it's just not going to happen for me anytime soon because you can't when you have children. So, you wake up early and you do some practice and you do some practice before you go to bed. But what have you done to bring this tether of the essence of your retreat into the mess that we all have to live in?
Good question.
Yeah, great question. Not sure if I can answer. I don't know if I've done a very good job of it. Uh, we have to stay humble. We have to stay open-hearted. One thing that Trungpa Rinpoche did write and say is To be a bodhisattva or to be the idea of an awakening warrior is not that you have all this armor and so on and your weaponry. It's that you're taking it all off and you're exposing yourself and you're willing to be vulnerable, tender-hearted. I think he kind of used that kind of terminology. And the world is a frightening, scary, confusing place. And we have the protection, armor, refuge of dharma, which is not to be taken for granted. This amazing, precious human life that we have, this karma that we have, for whatever reason, however we stumbled into it, or we must deserve something, we have to have that affirmation, that positive outlook, and really keep our eyes open that, as you just said, the world is full of problems and confusion. Well, the appropriate response to that is not to give up or to get overwhelmed. It's to, with that fearless, open heart, find that compassion for it, for the suffering world. Mm. The world needs our presence more than ever, more than ever. This is a dark age, as they say, right? Kali Yuga. But we still have great, amazing blessings. We've met great masters, great teachers. We've read, we've got amazing teachings and translation. We have it all. We have everything we need. So we don't need to make excuses. 3 days retreat is great. It could be more, but it's really good. It's way better than nothing. And in 3 days of really deep, sincere practice, you can have all kinds of breakthroughs. Mm. So again, as my teacher, as Boka Rinpoche said, just stay consistent. Just keep going, keep going. But check yourself. It's about self-honesty. Am I going through the motions? If we're honest, we all do from time to time. We all just sort of fall into that. We have to keep it fresh and alive. Like Suzuki Roshi said, beginner's mind. If we bring that to our practice, and we really can work on arousing our bodhicitta. Again, not just saying the words, may all beings have happiness and so on, but we've got to be honest with ourselves. Oh, I'm just saying the words. I'm not really feeling it. Can I feel it? And then stop and really address that within ourselves. So anything we do, even if we're just taking refuge, Sanjay Chudan Sokin Chonam La, we say these prayers, say them slowly. And if we're just realizing, I wasn't really feeling that, say it again, go back, go back. Instead of going forward, like we have to make progress and we have to accomplish all these things, come back to the basics. I think the most important thing for Westerners is like Nungro, is like the ordinary preliminaries, really starting with the four thoughts, precious human life, impermanence, cause and effect, shortcomings of samsara. After 40, 50 years, I still recite those every day. It's not something we move beyond.
I've often thought that if I took the four thoughts truly to heart, I would run to retreat right now. If I really, really, really had accepted them fully, then I would pack my bags and be in 3 retreat or whatever tomorrow. There's something said about the merit that you accumulate from really taking on those four thoughts. I think that's a wonderful thought for our listeners. And thank you so much for being here to share with us your story. And as Joe said, we'd love to have you back. Totally can feel the blessings over here. Wonderful and just great to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Damien, and everybody watching. And thank you, Joseph.
Pleasure. Actually, what a pleasure. This is a great episode. Thank you for being willing. And we will ask you back. So I hope that you can make time. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, thank you, all you listeners. As always, please like, share, subscribe, comment. All those things help with the silly algorithm so that people can find our show. And we will see you soon. Have a great one. Thank you.